The mission was supposed to be simple. In and out, 20 of us, Mexico's finest, sent into the Sierras of Guanajuato to find and burn cartel marijuana plantations. We were warriors, trained for combat against men, not whatever those things were. The first night, we heard the screams. We made camp in a high clearing, and as the sun vanished, the forest came alive with a blood-curdling scream. It was like nothing I'd ever heard. A wretched, agonizing wail like a man being skinned alive. Some of the guys tightened their grips on their rifles, their faces set. They thought it was a cartel victim. Folk we were supposed to save. It lit a fire under them. But me? I've heard men scream. In pain, in fear, in death. This was different. There was a guttural, raspy quality to it. A resonance that felt wrong. It didn't sound human to me. We tried to pinpoint the source, but the sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Then as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The silence, somehow, was louder. None of us slept well that night. The next day was worse. The forest was dead. No birds, no insects, not even a breeze. Just the oppressive, heavy silence and the crunch of our boots on the dry earth. It felt like the jungle itself was holding its breath. That night the screams came again. Closer this time. Much closer. We doubled the watch, our nerves stretched. Every shadow seemed to move after us. We were expecting a cartel ambush. The screams stopped before dawn, same as the night before. On the third day, we found the plantation. We torched the crops, dismantled the irrigation, did our job. A straightforward success. We took a different route back to the extraction point to avoid any reprisal. And as dusk began to fall, we found a cave. It actually seemed like a gift, like a pure luck, solid rock walls, protection on both sides. We set up camp inside the mouth, feeling a sense of relief. The mission was a success. It was over. That feeling, it didn't last. At 0300 we heard those screams again, but this time they were inside the cave with us. It was deafening, coming from deeper within the dark cave. We were all awake in an instant, rifles up, scanning the dark. Our position was compromised. But by what? The lieutenant made the call. Half of us would stay to secure the camp, and my squad would move in to investigate. Our weapons were hot, flashlights cutting shaky beams through the gloom. We advanced. The cave narrowed, the air growing damp and cold. All we could hear was our own breathing and the scuff of our boots on stone. Then my light hit something. Not a rock. Something shiny. It looked green and scaly. I shifted the beam and my heart stopped. It was a face. A lizard's face, but on a body the size of a man. Clawed hands, powerful legs coiled to spring, and it wasn't alone. There were more of them, moving with an impossible, skittering agility over the rocks, shielding their eyes from our lights. We were frozen, a complete and total tactical failure. We had no drill for this. One of those lizard creatures opened its mouth and unleashed that scream right in our faces. "Run!" someone yelled. We turned and fled back toward the cave mouth, stumbling in the dark. I glanced back and I saw them gaining on us. They were insanely fast. One of us opened fire, then we all did as we were retreating. The shots of a rifle was deafening in the confined space. I saw our rounds hit those creatures, but they sparked and ricocheted off their hides like we were shooting stone. The bullets did nothing, no penetration. A scream behind me, a human one, cut short. I'm not proud, but I didn't look back. I couldn't. I just ran, bursting out of the cave mouth into the night air, yelling for a perimeter. The men at the camp were already up and out, faces pale. We were shouting, calling for evac, for air support, anything, trying to explain the impossible between the ragged breaths. Then we heard it, that distinct helicopter sound at the distance. Relief washed over me for a single second before it curdled into confusion. It was a Black Hawk. No markings. It wasn't one of ours. 4 figures fast roped down. They wore sleek black armor and helmets with polarized visors that hid their face completely. Their voices when they spoke were mechanized. They were filtered, unnatural. They told us to stand down, to let them handle it. They moved into the cave. There were a few short, controlled bursts of gunfire, a different sound than our frantic shooting, and then the familiar, inhuman screams which were suddenly silenced. They emerged moments later. 2 of them were dragging the corpses of 2 reptilian creatures. The other 2 walked straight to our lieutenant. The one who spoke knew his name. In fact, they knew all of our names. He said they operated under the authority of the Mexican government and that we were never under any circumstances to speak of what happened that night. The threat was unspoken but crystal clear. We would all be found dead. Suicides, if we uttered a single word. They loaded the bodies onto their Black Hawk helicopter and vanished into the night. We were left there, surrounded by the quiet forest, trying to process what we just experienced. I resigned as soon as we got back. So did many others. Some guys stayed in, but they got transferred to desk jobs far from the field. Those of us who got out, we kept our heads down. We worked private security. I never talked about it, at least not until now.